19 minutes after 6, Twentyman talks politics in the company of John Penrose, the Conservative MP for Weston-super-Mare. There was a bit of publicity for the town with the football exploits this week and the last 10 days or so.
Yeah, it's been quite a big thing. You know, everyone's been sort of really proud to see teams doing well. The result wasn't so great the other day, but people really pleased to see that it's brought a bit of publicity, as you said.
Yeah, for every giant-killing act in football, there's always 8 or 10 non-league clubs who are put to the sword, unfortunately, Weston. But it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, the crowds at the Woodspring Stadium, probably, I don't know, on a good day, 500 or 600, yet there's nearly 3,000 people there.
Pretty much packed out. Yeah, it's good.
That's really good. That's really good. Now then, your interests, I was reading, fishing, beekeeping, and it's either rowing or rowing. Probably rowing.
Probably rowing, yeah.
Tell me about the beekeeping.
Oh, I used to. Well, my dad used to keep bees, and he got allergic when he got stung, so I took over when I was in my teens.
All right.
And I just like honey. So I've been a beekeeper on and off for years and years and years, and I'm probably not a terribly expert beekeeper, but I like it, and it's just a way of clearing your head, makes you think about other things. It's like any hobby; it just makes you gets you to think about something else on occasions.
And have you got all that kind of protective gear, like the suit you put on and the hat with the net in the front?
Yeah, some people when they keep bees, they reckon it's a bit sissy to wear gloves and that sort of stuff. I don't. I reckon I look like there's about to be a nuclear attack.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What the fishing? Are you a good fisherman?
I'm okay. Yeah, I catch some fish. And
where do you fish?
Blagdon Lake recently, and a bit of sea fishing as well, that sort of stuff. But yeah, anything with lures, basically. I'm sort of more of a sort of go after them rather than wait for them to come to me sort of person. But yeah.
Okay. What motivates you?
Oh, blimey. I guess it goes back to your question about what counts as a good day in the office earlier on. It's most people, I think, who go into politics go into it because they want to try and improve things a bit. It may be big, maybe small, but you want to try and improve things and leave things a little bit better off when you left than when you came. And that's kind of what I want to do. And it can be something as simple as sorting out someone's tax credits, or it can be trying to fix something big in foreign policy. I mean, that's the variety of the job.
Yeah. Do you get frustrated by the length of time that it takes to affect change?
Yeah. I mean, with my background as a businessman first, politics is much slower and a lot more frustrating. And you can't say, right, we're going to do X and just crack on with it. You've got to persuade an awful lot more people, and they won't all be persuaded. And that's kind of what democracy is. So yeah, that's really frustrating. But I suppose if it was easy, then it wouldn't be so rewarding, would it?
Yeah, sure thing. Tell me about your daughters. You got a couple of girls, haven't you?
Yeah, young daughters. Funny enough, my wife and I try and avoid sort of putting them in the public eye too much, just because it's not really fair on them. But yeah, two young daughters, and I'm told that in a couple of years' time I'm going to be putty in their hands.
How old are they?
7 and 8 years old.
Oh gosh, I'm sure you're already putty or around the fingers.
I probably don't realise it.
Very pliable. What are their names?
Emma and Rebecca.
Emma and Rebecca. Delightful. Now, your wife died. It's an interesting one as well. She's the chief executive
of Talk. Yeah. So if anyone's got any broadband problems, I'll get letters now.
Yeah. No, you will. Don't worry. I mean, she's obviously very successful in her own right.
Yeah.
Is it a kind of competitive relationship you have? You're an MP, she's a chief exec?
Not really. I mean, we both met. It was an office romance when we first met. We were both working for the same company. And no, I mean, it's not really competitive in that respect. It's just because we're in different worlds. So it's sort of kind of complements. I mean, I'm really proud of her. I think she might be proud of me on occasions, and that kind of works. It's really good, yeah.
Do you see a lot of each other? Because I imagine you do a lot of travelling, going to London and being an MP, and I should imagine her position also takes her here, there, and everywhere.
We're both busy, but I guess it's like any two-career couple. I mean, it gets to the point where we're so sad we have to schedule dates with each other. It counts as a big night out,
I spoke to Mike Ford about several months ago. That he's the head coach of Bath Rugby, and not dissimilar. He said he arranged some social with his wife via email.
Yeah, and it is. You book a date and you feel like you've really sort of achieved something. You're just going down the local pub, but it's good.
Now then, is it true that you didn't back Cool Dawn when Cool Dawn won the Cheltenham Gold Cup in 1998?
Yeah,
I should have done.
I should have done, and the reason why is because he belonged to my wife. So she. I mean, it was one of these amazing things. She bought him as a sort of a simple horse for her to ride in point to points. And it's like buying a Mini and discovering you bought a Ferrari. He went on to win the Cheltenham Gold Cup, which your listeners will know is pretty much as big a race as it gets. And I've quickly discovered that if I bet when she was riding, it just made me feel worse. If she won, I was ecstatic. If she lost, I was too glum, and I couldn't bring myself to bet against. So I stopped betting whenever she or her horse was racing, and I forgot about that when it came to the Gold Cup, and I'm really annoyed because it came in at 25-1.
Wow!
Yeah,
were you there that day? Were you at Cheltenham?
I was there. All our friends made money, and I did.
I sense you were ridiculed somewhat that day.
I was teased something wrong, but it was a good day. Yeah.
It must be amazing, though. I mean, okay, your wife's horse, but to see it coming up the hill, the final straight at Cheltenham. I mean, were you shouting? Were you screaming, hollering?
I completely screamed myself hoarse, and it's one of those things because we went there largely for the crack. We went there because he was in with a shout. Wouldn't have gone there otherwise, but he wasn't fancied or tipped particularly. He's a bit of an outsider, and he was a front runner too. And he led pretty much from start to finish. And no horse stays on up that hill without being challenged. And he stayed in front even in spite of that. So it's one of those fairy tale things. It'll never happen in my lifetime to me or anyone I know, I'm sure.
Still got horses in the family?
Yeah, well, in fact, Cool Dawn's still with us. He's an old gentleman now. He's getting on in years, but he's in a stable at the bottom of my garden.
Really?
Yeah, he's still there.
Can't be that many people listening to us right now. I've got a Cheltenham Gold Cup winner at the bottom of the garden.
It's not bad. The only trouble is he's a gelding. Otherwise we'd be very rich with the stuff. Yeah. But he still likes apples and polos and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So don't feed him.
Oh, brilliant. All right, the daughters, do they like horses? Are they involved in?
One of them likes riding, the other one doesn't. So it's a good mix.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Now, interesting your career in politics, where it started. I mean. You initially stood for election in Ealing Southall, didn't you, in '97?
Yeah, that was.
How come you were there?
Oh, that was before we moved back home.
Yeah.
So I was still
London based
in London based because Longman's based up near London. That's where I was working at the time, and I joined. As I said, I joined the party. Conservative Party quite late in life compared to some other people, and I'd been a member of the party for about 2 years and got selected to stand as a parliamentary candidate. I knew not a great deal about what I was doing, and had tremendous fun learning with some really great people who sort of helped me out and really sort of show me the ropes in Ealing Southall. But it's quite a safe Labour seat, if I can put it politely. So I had great fun. No one was really expecting me to win. Ate a lot of curry, which didn't hurt a bit. It's rather fun. And went down to a crushing defeat, because being a Conservative in 1997 wasn't the easiest place to be in the first place, as you can imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. And then 2001 in Weston, you stood again, but weren't elected.
Yeah, we got the majority right down, lost by 338 votes after a recount, which at 3 a.m. in the morning and a recount and still losing. So that was pretty upsetting.
Just tell me more about that. We'll talk about the success in a moment and how you felt, but just tell me about when you didn't get the nod from people of Weston.
It was. I mean, we did well, and the majority went right down. We nearly got it, so everyone felt that the party had done well, and I hadn't messed up too badly. But there's no prizes for coming second in a parliamentary election. Everyone forgets who came second. They're only interested in the person who won for good and understandable reasons, and so no one ever pays attention to the poor people who have to go home and lick their wounds at 3 a.m. in the morning. It's an all or nothing thing, and it's very, very public too. Yeah, so it's you've got to be quite sort of prepared for that.
Yeah. What do you do the day after when you haven't been elected? Do you plot your immediate future, your long-term plan from there?
I went fishing.
Yeah.
I just need to get my head straight and just clear my mind. I mean, other people, I'm sure, take it differently, but I just went fishing.
No, I can appreciate that. But you made it in 2005. How good was that when they said the winner is John Penrose?
It was special, if only because having lost in 2001, it was that much better, and because there's a huge team of people. I mean, you always see the candidates up on stage when these things are announced, but actually what you don't see is the enormous team of volunteers, and they're all volunteers. They're not paid. They turn out because they think it's right, because they believe in you, because they believe in the party, and I didn't want to let them down. And that actually was great. I mean, we had the most enormous party the following day, just to say thank you, because they had all worked their socks off just for the sake of getting it right.
Yeah. My producer's just tapped on the screen here. You may well have known this. Another John Penrose, sat in the House of Commons back in 1646 for a couple of years.
I didn't know that. There we are. So I'm not the first John Penrose MP. There you go.
It's been a bit of a durable character, and I always respect and remember listening to you come on with my predecessor on this programme, Ben Prater. When you were you're the tourism and heritage minister, and then you got displaced.
Oh, that's right.
Moved away.
Yeah.
But it was on a Monday, and you came on. And you took the questions. I thought, bravo to that guy, because you could easily have said, "No, I'm sorry, I'm not available. I don't want to speak." But you came on and answered the questions.
Yeah, I know that was. I was made. Technically, I think I was made redundant rather than sacked, but it felt like the same thing.
Yeah.
But no, it was. It was just, you've got to be able to take. Politics is one of these games where you get ups and downs, and you've got to be able to take them both.
Yeah, but it's good at the moment. You're in the ascendancy with your position as a whip.
Well, being in the whip's office is pretty weird actually, but it's fascinating. I'm learning an awful lot about my parliamentary colleagues and what makes them tick and what doesn't. But also, we're doing okay in the polls. I think we're just about edging ahead on the national polls. But this morning, bad result in Rochester. So, as you said, you get ups and downs. You've got to take the rough with the smooth.
So, as a whip, do you have to be a bit of a bully?
No.
Your approach to life and tell people what they've got to do.
Well, if you do have to be a bit of a bully, then I'm rubbish at it. Is the answer. I think there used to be an attitude that's what whips did, but actually nowadays, if you try it, you'd probably get sued, wouldn't you? I mean, it would be against all sorts of modern laws, and I think rightly so. So no, I actually have to rely on argument to persuading people, which is much harder, of course.
Yeah. What kind of message has there been to Conservative MPs from the top man today after last night's by-election result?
2 points he's been really making. One is thank you, because an awful lot of people worked really, really hard to get as far as we did. We didn't win it, but we knocked the initial UKIP lead right down. So he's been saying thank you, and he's also been saying, look, this is, if you look at the national picture, we are going to have to work pretty hard, but there's a decent chance that we can still win the general election, and we might even win Rochester and back in May.
How concerned is the Conservative Party? How concerned are you about UKIP?
Oh, well, I think you've got to take all your opponents seriously. I mean, if you start sort of dismissing them, then that's a very bad place for anybody to be. So yeah, you treat everybody with respect, and that means you treat the Labour Party with respect, and the Lib Dems, and UKIP, of course, and the Greens. Don't forget them.
Okay. Steve Webb was my guest last week, sat in that chair. He's coming up 50. You were 50 this year.
Yeah.
He, a bit of trepidation in his voice, whether his wife may organise a surprise party. What advice and guidance would you offer your colleague from the Lib Dems about becoming 50?
I've got no advice to offer him at all. I got to the point where I woke up on the morning of my 50th birthday and looked at myself in the mirror and thought, when the heck did that happen? So, none at all. He'll have to make it up himself. So.
Okay. I'm sure he will. What are your ambitions and priorities then as the MP for Weston-super-Mare?
To persuade the people of Weston that I'm worth another 5 years come May. Priority number one. Show them, I hope, what we've managed to achieve. Me with them and their other councillors they've elected over the course of the last 5 years, and say, look, I think Weston is a town that's really on the up, but it's a job that's part done. The town's really transformed. Parts of the seafront are miles better than they were, but there's an awful lot more to do. So we're sort of partway through the project, and we've got to see it through. So that's my big priority for Weston. And nationally, I want to make sure that we deal with the remnants of the economic mess that we inherited. We still haven't got the deficit down to zero. That means the government's still borrowing far too much money, and we've got to make sure we deal with this sort of something for nothing stuff that we inherited. We've got to make sure that it pays to work, and that people want to work, and that it makes sense for them to do so. It's
been great chatting with you. Just give me a snapshot of your weekend. What are you up to this weekend? Are you working or are you playing?
I'm working tomorrow, so I'm starting off tomorrow morning. I'm canvassing. In Weston, do that sort of most weekends, just to make sure I'm listening to what people have got to say. So I'll do a bit of that. I think I've got a couple of events I'm going to in the afternoon. Sundays is my day off, so I shall spend some time there, out with my daughters and my wife, doing whatever the weather will allow, I guess.
Brilliant. Listen, it's been great chatting with you. Thanks for coming up and having a chat.
Thanks very much for having me.
Have a great Christmas as well. It's not too far away.
Blimey, am I allowed to say Happy Christmas? It's not December yet. Is that all right?
John Penrose, MP for Weston-super-Mare, live on the programme.